As if that intro wasn't enough to, set the tone, here's this to clarify what this is all about. You may have seen this going around. Over 1.8 million unique pieces of extremist or hateful content, including anti Semitic, neo Nazi, and Islamic terrorist material, were found on Steam, the world's largest, most popular online gaming marketplace, according to the ADL. So, like I said at the top of this, right? Like I said at the top, this has nothing to do with what happened in the past, and it has everything to do with what's happening right now here in the present. Because this senator has decided to officially investigate Steam on behalf of the US government thanks to this report. So he has this to say. This is Mark Warner, and he has this to say. He says, I'm taking action against hateful and anti Semitic rhetoric proliferating on Steam. We need to ensure that social networks aren't breeding grounds for extremist, violent groups. And so here it is from the senator from Virginia. Now, we're going to read his letter, but I want to just take a minute here and just kind of, like I opened up at the beginning here about this ethics violation. We need to know something about the senator before we read his letter to Gabeth, if you will. And so, Mark Warner, as of 2024, with the federal congressional candidacy, who donates to this kind of group person, uh, transparency, right? Everybody kind of discloses who they are. So here it is. That's a Walt Disney Company for $25,000 versus $1,000 into the pack. And so this is all directed toward him, by the way, toward Mr. Warner. Now, what's attached is a Google AI overview that as of February 7th, 2024, Disney has announced a $1.5 billion investment into Epic Games. These are the creators of Fortnite, if you will. So, here's what we're facing, right? Epic Games is the direct competitor to Steam. And now a senator who is bought and paid for by the Disney Corporation has now decided to take an axe to Steam's public perception. Regardless if they find anything actually true in this report, Steam's reputation is going to be forever marked as a place where bad things and bad people congregate. Let's read his letter, though, and see just what exactly he's up to. And so this is what he had to say to Gabe. He says, Dear Mr. Newell, I write to you today regarding the hate and extremism that has recently been identified on your gaming digital distribution and social network platform, Steam. Recently, the Anti-Defamation League, the ADL, released a report where the ADL identified over 1 million unique user accounts and nearly 100,000 user-created groups that glorified anti-Semitic, Nazi, white supremacist, gender, and sexually based hate and other extremist ideologies on Valve's Steam platform. It has been brought to your attention before that extremist ideologies seem to find a home on Steam. In 2022, Valve received a Senate letter identifying nearly identical activity on your platform, and yet 2 years later, it appears that Valve has chosen to continue a hands-off type approach to content moderation that favors allowing some users to engage in sustained bouts of distributing and violent rhetoric that ensures that all of its users can find a welcoming and safe environment across your platform. My concern is elevated by the fact that Steam is the largest single online gaming digital distribution and social network gaming platform in the world, with over 100 million unique user accounts and a user base similar in scale to that of the traditional social media and social network platforms. Steam is financially successful with a dominant position in its sector and makes Valve billions of dollars in annual revenue. Until now, Steam has largely not received its due attention due to a de facto major social network where its users engage due attention as a de facto major social media network where users engage in many of the same activities expected of a social media platform. He's talking about X and Facebook and Instagram's kind of thing. And so he says the ADL found that in addition to extremely concerning number of hateful accounts and user groups, almost 100,000 users with extremist or anti-Semitic profile pictures, 40,000 groups with names that included hateful words, in the most prominent being 1488, shekel, and white power. Rampant use of text-based images, so-called copy pasta or the ASCII art. Now, this is, of course, a coding style of art. So you scroll through and you see a bunch of text, and there's a Pepe hidden in there. That's what they're talking about here. Particularly swastikas, resulting in over 1 million unique hate images. Valve has a Steam Online conduct policy and Steam subscriber agreement policy that Steam subscribers agree to abide by as a condition of using the service. The conduct policy requires, in general, as a Steam user, you should be a good online citizen and do not do anything that prevents any other Steam user from using and enjoying Steam. So, of course, it goes into like, harass others, violence, this sort of thing. And he says, it is reasonable to question how committed Valve is to effectively implement and enforce Valve's own self created conduct policy for its users in light of the 1 million Steam user accounts and 100,000 user created groups glorifying hateful ideologies that the ADL found. Okay, so now that we've gotten through most of that gobbledygook here, he's just going to go on and reiterate this thing. Mainly what they're concerned about is he's trying to draw attention to this, that Black Friday is around the corner and lots of people are going to be paying attention to the Steam deals and all this other stuff, and they'll be exposed to all this hate and whatnot. Now, this goes on, again, in the background of all of this information, but the reality is that this is what the ADL identified as hateful material. Now, out of that 1.8 million hateful items, Pepe the Frog was the most proliferated hate symbol. Now, I don't know about you, but I don't see that little green frog guy drooling all over himself and saying, oh, yes, that's a hate symbol right there. I now hate another demographic somewhere for some reason because I have witnessed this little green frog. Now, again, I'm not playing stupid. I know that people dress this character up as 1940s German military officers. I'm well aware that that happens. But they also do that to Barack Obama. There's a bunch of memes going around of Will Smith being cast as 1930s Germany funny mustache man, you know? And that's, I don't think Will Smith is going to take that role as funny mustache man, but it would make for a funny SNL skit, that's for sure. But maybe not to the ADL. They'd add that to the pile here. I don't know. But that's what you're looking at, okay? So Pepe the Frog. All right. I don't buy that one. All right. So that's that, but that's the majority of it, by the way. That's 54% of the extremist hate symbols. And I highly doubt that 54%, that entirety, that 500, what are we looking at here? That 544,267 instances that they are isolating are all Pepe the Frog wearing 1930s German military officer uniforms. Okay? I highly doubt that. I highly doubt it. In fact, I bet most of them are just the one that has the Pepe Frog holding the glass where he's doing the Leonardo DiCaprio thing from the Great Gatsby movie. Yeah, that. He's doing the toast. Yeah, probably most of that. Now, the swastika, as alluded to, yes, there are people who will reply with that block of text that has the swastika inside of it. However, that's spam. That's spam. The people are going to copy and paste that. The intent behind that, most of the time, I would say 99% of the time, is not to evoke hatred. It's simply to be an edgy idiot. Okay? That's the difficulty with dealing with this moderation, is that it's tucked into places where if you as a mod were looking to find this stuff, it would not be where you'd expect to find it, in conversations about like Dragon's Age and conversations about like the Horizon Zero Dawn video game that just came out, Dustborn, these kinds of things that the leftist mind would say, yes, all of this hatred would be decorated, would be, all over the place. It'd be smattered all over the comment section because those hateful right-wingers would descend upon these beautiful, wonderful, non-biased games like Dustborn. It was totally non-biased and had no, I'm being sarcastic. Please don't hang me in the comments. I'm being sarcastic. But that's what I'm talking about, is that you don't find them there. They're just tucked into a conversation about polar bears. That's the thing, is that like the hateful rhetoric where these swastika coded text images show up, it's usually just a random reply. It has absolutely nothing to do with what's going on because it's spam. Just some edgy idiot like, oh, I'm gonna post the Virgin windmill again, Mom. Look, I did it again. That's it. That's all it is. You get out into the wild, I'm sure you're gonna find like whole epitaphs being posted that are complete copy pastes of funny mustache guy's opinion of other, demographics. I'm sure those have been copy and pasted over there because they've been copy and pasted everywhere else. Do you remember Smarter Child, the ye olde chatbot? That one had Mein Kampf pumped into it so much it started randomly reciting it. You could ask that thing to marry you. I remember that we used to do that all the time, and in school we were just teenagers. Like, will you marry me, chatbot? And then all of a sudden, like a very tilted opinion about a certain demographic would just come pouring out of the Smarter Child because it had just had that piled into it for years on end, and nobody knew that. It was just every reply that you could give to the Smarter Child chatbot, it was stuffing it in there. So why wouldn't it be over there on Steam? Anywhere there's a text box, that stuff gets copy pasted into. It's ridiculous to hold Steam responsible for that because, again, they say there's over 100 million users, so what do you want them to do? How do you build a filter in that automatically cuts all of that stuff out when, again, like, we'll just go down here. I know there's going to be people in the comments that want to talk about how often the swastika shows up. Well, yeah, because there's a lot of games in Steam that deal with fighting Nazis. And even then, there's games in Steam where you play the Nazis. Yeah, there's those games. You're out on the battlefield and you're playing the bad guys. Yeah. It's not like that with the camps and stuff. You're out on the battlefield, you're using their artillery. Even in World of Tanks, you're running around sporting all sorts of hateful symbols because they're painted on the side of the damn tank. What are you going to do? It's a historically accurate game. It's almost like we're just supposed to sever that part of history off and only acknowledge it when we're supposed to piss on it. We're only allowed to look at that entire, not even just the Germans, just that entire period. And the only thing we're allowed to do is say that might makes right and pee on the rest of it and just be done with it. Wipe our asses with that part of history. For me, I just want to be done with all the hysteria around it. To be completely honest, I don't care about the Nazis. I just don't. They've been gone for 80 years. We have much more important things to worry about. Real things that have evolved in the current era that are creating violence, that is creating destruction in the streets, and that is creating a degradation of the human experience, okay? And wouldn't you know it, it's got nothing to do with those guys in Germany. Nothing. Not a thing. The guys that worship that stuff, the guys and gals that worship that stuff, most of the time they're Tide Pod champions. They're Tide Pod Challenge champions. You understand? They pose no threat to anything other than a shoelace store, okay? Because they're not going to buy from them. They're the kids that run around with the Velcro shoes till they're 50, all right? Can't walk and chew bubblegum. They're not a threat to anything. But we're going to pump that up because Hollywood likes making lots of movies about it, so it's constantly on people's minds. Can you think of any other point in history where that mattered? Right? And here we are, swastikas being the next one down. And I'll remind you, look at that number, 9.1%. We went from 54% of being that stupid green frog down to the swastika being 9.1% of it. Like, look at the 544,000. Yeah, we'll round that down. 544,000 stupid Pepe frogs, and we immediately drop massively down to 90,000 swastikas. Okay? And of course, you're going to see that stuff posted because Wolfenstein: The New Order's on there. And again, like I said, you're playing as the Nazis. Yet we have so much hysteria around it that even posting the weird stuff that's associated with that game in other places, you're going to end up being accused of things and ending up on a list. In fact, there's so many other games that have comment sections that devolve into conversations about Wolfenstein. They devolve into conversations about Warhammer 40K that, again, uses a lot of this imagery. Not exactly the swastika, but uses a lot of that authoritarian imagery from that period. Again, it's not to glorify it. It looks very intimidating for a reason. It was built for war. It was supposed to look scary. What a surprise that it would be used to look scary. It's one of these things where we're going to keep ending up in this cycle so long as we keep allowing it to happen. Do I think that we need to ignore people hating other people based on their demographics? No, I don't think we should ignore that. But I also don't think we need to go around labeling STEAM a haven for hatred because of what happened 80 years ago. Okay? Not a single one of these SS people are, I read the SS bolts right there, just as I said that. Not a single one of these people that are sporting those SS bolts are going to go out and do anything violent. Not a one. Look at that. Look at that. There are only 12,000 of them out there. That's not even enough to fill a football stadium. Okay? What are they going to do? Nothing. They're just going to post their stupid crap online and feel satisfied that they're edgy. Oh no, I posted it again, Mom. You can't stop me. That's it. It's the end run of it. Yet we make this big, huge thing and we spend government money on it, even though all this stuff, not important. Not important. Okay? And again, is there real hatred out there? Absolutely. Is there real violence practiced on that hatred? Absolutely. But not to the point that we need to label STEAM as a haven for it. That's not even remotely okay, as evident by making Pepe the Frog the face of hate symbols. How does that make any sense? The feels bad man frog, okay? That little character, little dopey character, you've seen him, he's fallen over with his McNuggets all over the floor, and he looks pathetic, and he's crying. That's a symbol of hatred? Really? That seems like a symbol of somebody that needs a hug. Kind of the opposite of hatred, sort of a relatable moment of having an embarrassing time in public. And you want people to relate to that. They go, oh yeah, I feel bad for this frog because I may not have fallen over, but I have had just as an embarrassing moment as well. That's not hate. I'm sorry. And you may say, oh yes, well, those Hugo Boss suits made those fellas in the 30s look really sharp. So people liked how they look. So obviously, this hatred can come in like a pleasing package. It's a frog. It's a little frog, and he's not telling you to hate anything. If anything, he's telling you to take it easy on yourself. Most of the time when you see Pepe the Frog is telling you or relating to you that things might be overwhelming at the moment. Yeah, that's a symbol of hatred, so much so that they identified it in 544,000 instances. I don't know. You'll have to let me know down in the comments what you think about this. Personally, I don't need to get down into like the history of it and stuff like that, but I really believe this is a major misstep by the ADL, a major misstep by Senator Warner, a major misstep by Disney to get caught in all of that, by the way. And I really think this does have to do with Disney trying to prime a consumer rebellion against Steam, trying to take advantage of all the hysteria that was going on during the election around Donald Trump being accused of all these things, these rallies that were reminiscent of the ones in the 30s. It's really ridiculous, right? And here it is. We're trying to ramp that up again, trying to magnify it, trying to make it look like it's out of control with a little green frog that says it feels bad, man. It does feel bad that we're wasting our time and effort on this when there's real hatred in the world that needs to be combated. All right, you want to do something positive? You want to know what the hatred I'm talking about is? It's the hatred against our neighbors, okay? That's got nothing to do with skin. It's got nothing to do with religion. It's got nothing to do where you came from. It's got nothing to do with where you're going. It's got everything to do with what we've been told to be disgusted over, okay? What that guy does in the ballot booth, right? It's all his own. That's his decision, okay? You don't need to hurt anybody about that. And I know you know this. I know you, the commenter, you, the watcher of this video, you know the political violence is stupid. It's stupid. You overthrow a tyrant, certainly, when there's real, awful things that can't be dealt with through the law. We've had awful things happen in this nation. Awful abuses, horrible abuses that are being answered by the law even now. Even now. It had not gotten to the point where we needed to take the actions of our founders, okay? But yet the heightened tension in this country, magnified by stuff like this, okay? Magnified by insanity like this, all right? That's what causes the real hatred that we need to fight. Am I telling you to just go, okay, neighbor, you accused me of being a Nazi. You accused me of being all sorts of evil and horrible things. I forgive you. I'm going to let you off with that. No. What I am telling you is to try and allow them to apologize. Try to allow them the space to realize that you are not that, you don't represent that, and the ideas, values, and wishes that you have do not lead there. That's all I'm asking, is just let them have the space to come home. That's the hate we need to stop. That's the hate we need to make obsolete. The hatred between neighbor, the hatred between brother, the hatred between blood. We need to make sure that this stops. Okay? We can work on every other hatred once we've decided that ideas don't make someone unworthy of life. All right? And you know what I'm talking about. It's the violence, it's the discrimination, it's the insistence that a person's appearance determines what they're capable of. That kind of hatred gets unwound when you finally decide that ideas aren't the problem, that actions are. Okay? Actions like these. Am I telling you to go out and cause havoc for the ADL, for Mr. Warner, for anybody like that? No, please do not do that. Do not leave here to go call Mr. Warner all sorts of names and insist he's all sorts of things, or bother the ADL. Don't do that. Instead, support your senators, support your representatives, and support other influencers that are talking about this and letting people know that the government's wasting money labeling gamers as racists again, instead of getting it on and fixing with the hatred that we have right now that starts in the halls of Congress. It's that simple. So let me know how you feel about this in the comments below. But until next time, guys, good luck out there.